In today's video, we're talking about a SteamOS update that just dropped that's so big, it includes updates for every SteamOS piece of hardware, including the Steam Machine. Like officially, they mentioned the Steam Machine in an update. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is Deck Ready, my channel all about Steam hardware. I hope you're having a great week playing a ton of video games. There's tons of stuff out you should be playing right now, whether it's Crimson Desert, Death Stranding 2 on PC, or of course my favorite, Monster Hunter Stories 3. Regardless, there's a lot of great stuff to play, so hopefully you're having a good time. Speaking of Crimson Desert, right after the excitement kind of started to die down after its massive launch on Steam, Valve kept the excitement going by dropping SteamOS 3.8 in the preview channel. If you want to wait for this to be official, it shouldn't take that long. A lot of these features have been in the main channel, like the one step above preview channel. I've been using them on my SteamOS PC, and a lot of them are exactly what I've been asking for, so that's good that it's finally out there in a more stable state. For the viewers who are absolutely rabid for Steam Machine updates, we'll get this out of the way first. The first bullet point on the update patch notes is that they added initial support for Steam hardware, specifically the Steam Machine. So they've got SteamOS basically ready to go for the Steam Machine. They're working on it. I think they're going to hit that early 2026 window. Well, it's not early 2026. I think they're going to hit that by June 2026 release window. And it's kind of like an under promise, over deliver situation. I prefer that in everything. So if they manage to hit it, that's awesome. If they have to delay it, I think everyone's kind of going to understand. Now, while they're not being specific about what that initial support entails, as we read through these patch notes, you're going to see that a lot of the features they've added to SteamOS directly benefit desktop usage. So those are primarily for the Steam Machine, because desktop hasn't gotten a lot of love because most people use game mode, but that's about to change with the Steam Machine. Speaking of that, the next two bullet points are awesome. They updated the Arch system base, so like the underlying Arch Linux that SteamOS is built on top of should run a lot smoother, but most importantly, they updated the graphics driver. I've been using this graphics driver on my main SteamOS PC for a little while now, and the ray tracing improvements are awesome. I think they're really going to help with the Steam Machine. Obviously, they're not going to come in super clutch for the Steam Deck because ray tracing brings that handheld to its knees, but they need to have ray tracing support set up for the Steam Machine because it has a lot more power. If they're to be believed, 6 times more power than the Steam Deck. So yeah, with so many games shipping with forced ray tracing, it makes sense why those improvements are dropping down to SteamOS now. And also, they've added FSR4 support in the latest driver that I'm using on my SteamOS PC. So instead of having to download the DLL and replace the DLL in each specific game you want FSR4 in, you can just use a launch command because it comes packaged in with the operating system. I think that's good. I'd love to see FSR 4.1. They announced yesterday that all of the features that came to the PS5 Pro with PSSR 2 are now in FSR 4.1. So if you use that, you're going to get dramatically better results than even FSR 4, which was going in the right direction. On the Steam Deck, it's kind of a mixed bag because while the image reproduction is so much better, you basically have to use performance mode, which still looks better than FSR 3 ultra quality, but it's performance mode, right? Like it's running at such a low resolution that you're going to see some artifacting and it's not going to look completely clean. And because of the performance trade-off, that's why you have to use performance mode when you're using it, but still works really well. And I hope Valve is hard at work fixing this. I've got a whole video about it coming up soon. So if you want to see that, subscribe to the channel, set your notifications to all. Another improvement that comes along with this beta upgrade is being able to use OBS or Discord streaming while you're in game mode. I guess you were always able to do this. Like if you added OBS as a separate game to Steam, then you could open it in game mode. Same thing goes for Discord. If you add it as a non-Steam app, you can stream to your friends. It had a lot of latency no matter what device you were using it on. So they've done some underlying improvements to the overall operating system to make that work a lot better. That's definitely a feature that's getting ready for Steam Machine because obviously since it's a PC, a lot of people are going to be wanting to use it as a PC, not just a game console. If you're still rocking the Steam Deck LCD, despite the fact that it got discontinued, it just got a great feature which allows it to power down its memory when the console is idle. So like when you put it in sleep mode, the battery should last a lot longer. I was reading the Verge's article and they say some Windows handhelds get better sleep time than the Steam Deck OLED. What handhelds? Because the biggest problem, unless you switch to hibernation mode right out of the box, is that sleep mode just straight up doesn't work on Windows handhelds. But regardless, getting better sleep time, like more battery battery longevity when you're not using the device is a great thing. It should bring it pretty close to what the Steam Deck OLED has, and with that being my main device, it lasts about a week in standby mode, so that's pretty good. And then on the Steam Machine side, they've improved the hibernate mode, so the way that'll work is like at first you'll put your console to sleep, but after leaving it off, not totally off, but in sleep mode for a while, it'll go into hibernate mode, which is like a deeper sleep that uses less power. I think this worked fine. Obviously, you don't really need it that much on the Steam Deck because you're using the Steam Deck, so sleep mode's just fine, but you know, you leave your PC kind of sitting idle a lot longer than a gaming handheld in some cases, so it's good to know they're working on that, and I can tell you firsthand that works fine because I have it on my SteamOS PC, so they've done some good work. And if you're using SteamOS on your Legion Go 2 or ROG Xbox Ally X, you should see massive improvements. A lot of those little bugs have been fixed, like the controllers not working right on the Legion Go 2. You can now control the LED lights on the Legion Go 2, which as far as I'm aware, you can't do without Decky on the Legion Go S, so that's kind of a bummer, but at least they added it to the Legion Go 2. They've improved the automatic memory management on both devices, so you won't have to set the UMA frame buffer or whatever, like telling it how much of the shared memory it can use for VRAM. And then no matter what Legion Go device you have, whether it's the Legion Go 1, the Legion Go S, or the Legion Go 2, you can now set battery charging limits to a custom value, so most people do it at like 85% and let it only charge to there. I still don't have the screen off download feature on my Legion Go S, which is kind of a bummer, but I'd imagine that's coming soon. If you're someone like me who enjoys using a racing wheel with racing games and you have a higher end wheel, you probably stop trying to use it with SteamOS, whether it's on your Steam Deck or a custom PC. And it should be a lot easier now because they updated SteamOS to allow for wheels that kind of take control of the whole USB port. I guess that's what was getting in the way. So I guess I'll have to try out my Logitech wheel and my Fanatec wheel to see which one's better. And then if you're on the Steam Deck LCD, you're getting a feature we got back on the OLED after they took it away, which is waking up your Steam Deck with a Bluetooth controller. This does not work on my SteamOS PC. I wish it did because it's awesome. They had to take it away initially because people were throwing their Steam Decks in their backpacks, and if they had controllers that were connected to like two PCs or their Steam Deck and their PS5, when someone would go to turn on the PS5, it would turn on their Steam Deck and it would overheat in the case, so they obviously had to figure that out. It's been working just fine on the Steam Deck OLED. I don't know why it took so long to come back for the Steam Deck LCD, but regardless, it's good it's back because every time I bring this up, people are upset that they took it away and have been begging for it to come back. So they did that for you guys. On the audio side, they did a lot of fixes for surround sound, which is great. I have a full setup in that room back there with my SteamOS PC, and it worked fine. It just didn't sound as good as it did when I used my PS5. So now with this new update, it works about the same. And also there's this weird issue where there's a very short timer where if you put the controller down to look something up on your phone and then come back to it, the audio kind of cuts out when it goes into idle and it takes a little bit to come back. So if you leave the thing sitting for too long, you'll lose audio and it just feels jarring. They've dramatically shortened the amount of time that it takes for the audio to come back. There's still a gap, which I would like there to be no gap, like the audio should just never cut out, but it's a lot better than it was, so they're moving in the right direction. And finally, desktop mode got a nitrous boost. They default to Wayland now, which essentially means you'll get the same performance across game mode and desktop mode. A lot of people don't know this, but for a long time, playing games in desktop mode, they would actually perform worse than if you were playing them in game mode, and that's because it wasn't defaulting to Wayland, so that was a big improvement right out of the gate. They've added support for rotating displays, and they've added support for scaling different monitors. So if you have a 2-monitor setup and they have different resolutions, you can scale them so they look equal. So all of your icons aren't tiny on one and the right size on the other. That's a huge improvement. It's really weird when you have 2 monitors connected to your Steam Deck and all the icons and scaling in apps are a different size. It works great. I've tried it out. I'm glad that they've added this feature because it's one of the only things that I kind of missed using SteamOS desktop versus Windows. They say they've dramatically improved VRR. You'll have to put this one through its paces because I don't use VRR. They've dramatically improved HDR. And yeah, for desktop mode specifically, there's tons of more micro fixes that are for more technically minded people than me, but it seems like they are hard at work getting SteamOS ready to be usable on a desktop. That's why it's so awesome that the Steam Machine exists. Like the fact that they're making a tiny console you can put under your TV that also works as a full desktop PC is awesome on one level, but the idea of them having to fine tune their operating system for it, which you can then install on any PC you want as long as it has AMD CPU and GPU combo for right now, is just great. Because since I started doing this myself with my SteamOS PC, which I built back in the summer and then really upgraded to where it is now around September or October, it started out good, it got great pretty quickly, and it's just been on a sliding scale up ever ever since. Like every time I update my SteamOS PC, I get that like little rush of joy when I get to go through the settings and see what's new. One thing that they added, which I think is pretty cool, is how, you know, on the Steam Deck, when you hold the Steam button, it brings up that cheat sheet of the button combos that you have to use to do things like take a screenshot or start video recording or whatever. Now, when you hold that button, it brings up a separate menu that allows you to either put the thing in sleep mode, turn it off completely, or pull up that cheat sheet. The cheat sheet is a massive improvement because if you were using a controller on a SteamOS PC and you're holding the button that brings it up, it's the power button on the controller. So you'd see it for a few seconds, the controller would turn off, it goes away. Now you can just open up that menu by holding the button, which comes up faster than it takes for the controller to turn off. You can bring up the cheat sheet. You can look through all the many combos of buttons you can use on SteamOS, get the ones you want, and it just makes it easier to memorize them. Like I don't even have to use it anymore because I don't have to hold that button and screw around with my controller turning off and everything. I'm also glad they're getting an early start on the Legion Go 2. I have been trying to find one of these things for MSRP for months, not really like aggressively. I could have got one with like a 7 to 12 week lead time, and I just didn't know if it was still going to be popular, so I passed on that. It sold out. Best Buy never has it in stock. I've been at Costco a couple of times and people have had good luck there. I've only been able to find the regular Z2 edition, and every time I find one on Facebook Marketplace, it's the regular Z2 one, and I want the Z2 Extreme. So hopefully when the SteamOS version launches, they allocate enough units so I can get my hands on one of these things, or if anyone from Lenovo is watching, I'd love to check it out. But yeah, guys, if you've got an AMD PC build, you should definitely consider installing SteamOS on it now. I know a lot of Linux heads love suggesting Bazzite, but in my experience using both, I've had a better and more clean and easy experience using SteamOS. You basically plug and play, kind of like what Windows used to do, or it's like using a console with more features. I think that's a better comparison to make. Regardless, it's great. I'm really excited. I don't think we have long to wait for the Steam Machine. It's clear that despite the RAM shortage and all of that, they're figuring it out. They're not stopping work on the Steam Machine because of it, so that when they are able to get the RAM, hopefully there's a quick turnaround on pre-ordering it and launching it. I'm just really excited. I'm happy to wait. I'm addicted to Monster Hunter Stories 3 on my Steam Deck right now. I'm in the second area. I've completely filled out the map. In every area, there's one monster on the last fast travel point that's way harder than the level you are in that area. So I just went back and I beat the one in the first area. I'm gonna have to come back for the one in the second. If you're into Pokemon and you're looking for something more adult, can't recommend this game enough. But yeah, that's what I've got going on. Really exciting update for SteamOS. If you don't want to use the preview channel, I don't think it's going to take long for these upgrades to come down to the regular version, but I think it's working just fine. Beta updates used to have major problems on the Steam Deck, and now they're waiting longer before they ship these things to lower tiers like preview or regular beta. So regardless, Valve's doing a great job. I'm here for it. I'm excited, and I hope you are too. And if you want to know what I'm going to talk about like 24 hours before I post a video, follow me on Twitter at deck_ready, but I think that about covers it. So as always, guys, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.